Thank you everyone for connecting. I'm excited to present you this What's New in Cortona3D Products webinar. We've been very hard at work on this new version and we have a lot to go through today. Now, for the most part, I will demonstrate new capabilities of RapidAuthor version 13.0, but our other products will also be discussed today, of course. Now, not all of the features and changes will make it into this webinar, as the changelog is quite extensive, and we are time limited, but we will go through major points. Now, a couple of admin points. We will send the recording to all of the registered participants of this webinar, so rest assured that you won't miss anything. And we will also have a Q&A session in the very end of this webinar, but you can post your questions as we go along in the text chat, and we will answer them in the end. Let's start. And the first functional area that we are going to look at is the general authoring. And one of the most noteworthy features that I will talk about at the very beginning is the ability to align two cylindrical objects with each other seamlessly and without any pain, let's say. Now, as you know, I will switch to Rapid Manual. In the past, we had to use this rather complex window dialog to co-align parts. Sometimes when you create animations in Rapid Manual or simply preparing your 3D scene for subsequent authoring, you need to co-align objects with each other. Now, previously, you could use your manipulator or, as I said, this rather complex window. Now, the feature that we implemented is the coaxial phase detection mechanism, which simply detects two cylindrical objects and aligns them together. To do that, we simply grab this reference point, hold Shift button on our keyboard, and move two parts together, like so. As you can see, this bolt is now perfectly fits together. Now, if I just switch off everything else, this, of course, works in the opposite direction as well, like so. Now, if you hold Shift button and also Alt button at the same time, this will reverse your part, like so, but of course this is not needed in our particular case, like this. So this saves you quite a lot of effort to align parts together. Now, moving on. The next feature is the ability to create input fields in our rapid work instructions specification for your end user to enter certain information. This could be their credentials, parameters of the maintenance that they perform, anything of that kind. Once they complete playback of the procedure, CSV file can be saved, and all the responses, user responses, will be included in that CSV file. Now let's look how easily this can actually be accomplished. Now we go back to Rapid Manual. This is the document editor here in the bottom right corner. Now let's say I want my user to input the employee number. And the employee number. Now, there is a new element called input, for which I need to specify here in the in this window element attributes. So I need to specify the ID and the name of this field. Let's call it employee number. Now I can also decide whether this field is required or not. If the field is required, the user will be unable to proceed to the next step of the procedure without inserting some value in this field. So we populate this with 1, meaning it is required, and input maximum number of characters, say 5. That's it. Now let's preview this publication and see how this looks from the end user perspective. Here we need to switch to job mode, and this is our first step and the input field. Now note that I cannot click sign off button. It is grayed out because I haven't entered any value here, and so I do like so, sign off, and then we can proceed to the next step, sign off, and so on. Now let's assume we completed our procedure. Now we can actually export this file in CSV format and see what is inside. Now previously this was all these features been there already in the previous versions, so the timestamps were there in the past. What's new is that obviously we have the value of the data field that we created, 7,000, and this is the time at which this step was signed off and performed, like so. Now this is the default format. It is completely out of the box functionality. It can be customized for your needs. Now let's move on with the next user interface change. This not a new feature, but improvement of UI and UX. We completely revoked how project viewpoints are stored and managed. Basically, now you can create viewpoints not by dragging your mouse or specifying fixed viewpoints such as left, right, top, but you can specify specific angle of a camera. And what's also important is that you can clone your viewpoints and modify these angles slightly when you need to. And of course, there's also a nice preview of each viewpoint which is available. Now, what's important to remember is that these viewpoints are purely for authoring purposes, and they are not, they do not end up in your end HTML publication. It is just for convenience for author to use during authoring. Another improvement of user interface, this time that's Rapid Catalog. All the DPL table, detailed spots list table commands, are now grouped in the DPL table menu, and some of them are also available on the DPL toolbar just above the actual DPL table. Previously, these commands were only available via the right-click context menu and also via the tools menu. But now they're grouped in these menus and on this toolbar specifically, and saves you. This saves you a couple of clicks sometimes. The next area is publications, mostly HTML publications, of course, as this is the prime type of output. We continue to improve our recognition and import of surface edges. Back a couple of versions ago, we started to import them, and with this version, we can actually display them in the HTML5 output. This is purely for better look and feel, and it gives you a card-like look, as you can see. Now let me open example here. These are the surface edges, which I hope you can see here. Your end user can switch them on and off with the provided button in the HTML publication. By the way, the surface edges are supported by both HTML5 output and plugin-based publications as well. One point to note is that edges are disabled by default. If you would like to see them in your HTML, please adjust your publish options. Keep surface edges is what you are looking for here. Now, in terms of publications in general, we implemented new packing mechanism for multimedia objects. What this is a special object, multimedia objects, which includes all of the resources of your publication, such as thermal, 3D geometry, illustrations, interactivity document, and so on. So all of these resources are packed within a special file, and this file can then be loaded by external CMS or PLM systems that use our Solar API library. For most of you, this feature will not be relevant, but still it is worth to mention this. Similarly, we also have what's called viewer bundle. Now, in the past, we used to have iOS bundle. iOS bundle was also compressed file that included various resources, and this file was intended to be loaded by the Cortona3D viewer for iOS. Now, you can now create a solo bundle, which is used by a regular HTML5 Cortona3D viewer. This is not something that most users need. In fact, it is simply an easier way of storing your files, resources of your publication, as they are included in a single file, as you can see here on the screenshot with Cortona3D extension. So this is the HTML output. Res folder includes the Cortona3D Solar viewer, and all the resources which are relevant to the particular publication are included in the Cortona3D file, which you can unzip, of course, to see what's inside. Now, a couple of other features relevant to HTML publications in general. Now, we implemented a quite popular mechanism of covering table headers. Let's go back to this publication here. This is a good example, as we have quite a lot of entries here. And as you can see, as I scroll down, my table header is persistently staying on top. This is quite useful when you have a lot of columns, like so. Now, what's important to note here is that this feature relies on certain components that are incompatible with Microsoft Internet Explorer, but all other modern HTML5 browsers will support this hovering mechanism. Now, also in rapid work instructions specification, which we already seen previously, today we added a simple mechanism that would allow you to either expand or collapse all your steps and sub-steps at once, and also specify what default state you want when your end opens HTML publication. So in case you have very bulky document with a lot of substeps, you may want to collapse all of those substeps to show only top level steps initially. Now, the next area we're going to look at is the S1000D. With this release, we implemented support for S1000D version 5.0. This comes with specifications for paths catalog, procedural data modules, and text-based, which can be accessed via a rapid text application. Now, the next major S1000D related feature is the publication module for S1000D version 4.1. What this is basically a root structure data module that references other already existing data modules and contains them within itself. So what you can see on the right hand side here is the HTML output with the structure of your publication and the regular viewer on the right hand side. These publication modules can be created in two ways. In case you are working with Teamcenter, you can create the structure, what we see here on the left, via Teamcenter Rich Client in our Cortona3D technical publications application, and then attach already existing data modules. And when you perform import, the output will be generated. And the second way of creating such publication module is to use standalone RapidAuthor without making use of Teamcenter. You simply use a special rapid text specification to create this publication. Now, this is the overview of what I just said. Basic steps of how to do this via Teamcenter. Basically, we're creating all the structure here using already existing data modules. What you can also do, and one of the advantages of using this approach rather than a standalone RapidAuthor publication module, is that you can distribute this to content management of Teamcenter and manage translations of this publication within CMS and with out-of-the-box functionality of CMS, and also publish conventional PDFs of that publication module with CMS functionality. Now, if you are a standalone user of RapidAuthor, this is also available to you in a way that you can create a structure of already existing data modules on your local computer and create those interactive rather than conventional PDF data modules. Now let's look how this is actually implemented. Now we go to Rapid Text. Let's create a new project. And here we use this special specification called publication module for S1000D version 4.1. We generate a blank document, and without going into the S1000D specifics, what we can do right away is add references to already existing data modules which we have on our local computer. So here we can look up data modules, but we will simply click this button, and this will open all of the data modules that are stored within active working space. Now let's pick, for instance, this procedure. Now we will also add textual data module. Okay. And then to show you how filtering works, let's say I want specific information code. and let's look up data modules just with this information code. So that's for spare part catalog, like so. Now, here we can actually manage our structure and hierarchy of our publication module. So using these commands, which are available on the upper toolbar, for instance, I can level up my publication. Let's say I want to call it spare parts catalog. And for these two, I will call them operating manual. Now I can also rearrange the order, like so, and of upper objects as well, like so. That's it, and nothing else is required. Let's publish this, and let's see what's available to us as end users here. Now, as you can see here, we have the structure, just like we see here on the left-hand side. I can expand and open a corresponding data module, like this. Of course, you may have a lot of hierarchy here. It's entirely up to you how you configure this. Now, there is a search functionality, which is quite handy. For instance, let's search for break, find, and we see that there are two matches in this document, and they should get highlighted here, like so. So once again, this is a stand-alone way of creating publication modules for S1000D, and for Teamcenter, you would create the structure within a rich client without resorting to using rapid text. Now, we continued to improve our solution for S1000D learning module, and we added what's called pre-test and post-tests for learning data modules. What these are is basically various assessments which can be used to enrich learning experience, let's say, and you can include them before or after learning content, and this will be required for completion. Of course, we implemented assessments in S1000D learning a couple of versions ago, let's call it, and this is not something new, but these are types of assessments that we already support, and you can also use them in your post and pre-tests. Select multiple, select true, false, etc. Now, we also added a couple of miscellaneous features. These are various page breaks and line breaks. Sometimes author needs to forcibly create a page break in the PDF output, for example. And previously there was no out-of-the-box way of doing this. Now there are special commands. They are implemented in the form of icons on upper toolbar in the document editor of S1000D specifications. Now, another quite useful feature that should reduce the number of data entry errors is that all the input metadata and DPL parameters are validated against S1000D standard. So if your author inserts invalid character in one of the input fields of the document, they will not be able to do that, basically. There's a validation using a regular expression, and we will talk about that a bit later when we discuss Rapid Developer. And finally, we also added a search function in our learning publications, very similar to what you have just seen with publication module. Now let's move on to the next area, which is the 2D editing. Now a dedicated application, Cortona3D Editor Pro. The latest version is 6.0. Now the first thing I would like to demonstrate you is the quite handy command called repeat move. What it does, it repeats the last known transformation that you made within the editor, which could be rotate, scale, or move. And it applies that to the selected object. And this helps to create succession of objects quickly rather than inputting parameters in the property inspector by doing that manually. Now, another useful command here is that we can now not only precisely shift our objects using the relative distances or via the absolute coordinates on the canvas, but we can also specify the distance and the angle of that transformation. There is a useful use case with the previous feature, repeat move. Now let's look at it here in the editor. Now I have this hole here. Suppose I want to create a succession of holes in this direction, and the easiest and the quickest way to create such succession is to select it, click duplicate, which places the duplicate of the object exactly in the same place. Now here in the property inspector you go to the transformation tab, and then the other tab that you need is the move tab. Lock to angle, here we specify the angle and the value, let's say 50 millimeters, like so. Now we can click duplicate again, and now we make use of this new command, edit repeat move, like so. And if we repeat that, we see that this is a perfect succession of several objects. Now what I can do, for instance, copy them, place them here, and using virtual segment delete tool, create a nice image of this kind. So that's a combination of two new features here. Now another major feature, once again, sorry for repeating myself, quite commonly used words in this webinar. So that's a possibility to project various objects onto selected planes. And we're talking about axonometric projection, of course. Now, to do that, you already need existing ellipse or elliptical arc and some kind of line segment. And this way, the projection will be executed. So you always need a perpendicular ellipse or elliptical arc and some kind of line segment, which lies there as well, to create such projection. Once projection is made, you can manipulate projected object quite easily. Now let me actually show you how that can be done. Now suppose I want to create a hole here, but instead of actually drawing it, what we can do, we can project. Now let's grab, for instance, this elliptical arc, which lies, of course, perpendicular to this plane, and then we grab some kind of line which is also perpendicular to this surface, like so. Now we right click on the line and find here the new command, find ellipse. Now you can see immediately that it recognized the surface and not the surface, rather the plane that we can make use of. Now the second mode that we can use here is the intersection of two planes, but this is not what we need here. Now we can also specify diameter right away like this, and that's it. Now we can move this new object over here, create a duplicate, just some manual fine-tuning like this, like so. Now what else we can do with this? We can project in fact any kind of object onto this plane as well using this ellipse. Now I have this plate which we're going to project here. So for that, what I need to do is to select the object, go to Property Inspector, Transformations, Rotate. Now you grab this handle and release it over that ellipse that we created previously. That's important. And tick perspective rotation here. Now you see already the plane is being recognized, and this time we click projection onto the plane like so and rotate as we need. Rotate the object as we need. Now we can scale this down a bit like this and move. Now if this previously created ellipse is not required, we can delete it, of course, but the object stays like so. Now this also works with text, by the way, so you can project text also on such a plane. Another UI feature which is quite handy is that you can assign keyboard shortcuts to your styles. So when you save your style, you can specify a specific keyboard button, and then when you select another object, you can quickly assign that style using that button. This works independently from common keyboard shortcuts that you, of course, also could previously use. So this is something new. This is independent from common shortcuts in Cortona3D Editor Pro. This is quite useful for switching between styles quickly in case you have multiple styles used within one illustration. Right. The next one, invisible lines. And quite often illustrators create various reference lines as they draw, various guidelines, etc. And sometimes it is needed to store them for future use. So not to delete them, not to leave them out, but keep them in the source file. So this is now possible. And what we implemented is the visibility of lines, as you can see here in the property inspector. So by default, of course, all the lines are visible, so corresponding to on. To select off, the line will disappear from your canvas, but of course it will not only stay within the CGM file. You will be able to see those hidden lines if you enable keyline view in the editor. Now, what happens if you actually export or save the CGM file? So invisible lines, they are not displayed by proper CGM viewers, including, of course, Cortona2D and by other viewers as well, as this is a property of CGM format. And if you export CGM format to SVG from Cortona3D Editor Pro, those lines will be set as transparent, and they will not be visible to your end user. So they will be still there, and you will be able to reuse them, but for your end users, they will not be present. Now, the next area is the data import. Now, exciting feature for some of our users is the ability to import textures and texture coordinates from these CAD formats. Previously, we only supported import of textures from Vermal and JT formats via Rapid JT component. Now, many more formats are available to you. But for this, of course, you either need a standalone RapidAuthor, which comes with Rapid Data Converter, or in case you're a Teamcenter user, you also need Rapid Data Converter for Teamcenter. In terms of new CAD formats in general, these are the new ones that we support, basically new versions of all the formats that we already supported, of course. And in general, we performed the performance of the packing. So opening and saving of projects should be a little bit faster. And we also added additional mechanisms of how you can optimize and improve performance in general with input profiles. We will talk about that shortly. Of course, input profiles can be edited with a Rapid Developer product, which is licensed separately from RapidAuthor. So, Rapid Developer, and specifically Rapid Configuration. Now, very often, some of our clients asked whether it is possible to exclude certain geometry from being imported, as they simply could not access their CAD system, or they had no access to the CAD editor. Now, it is possible. With this new version, you may specify a specific value and attach it to the metadata or use regular expression, and that would exclude specific either object or assembly grouping item, exclude that from being imported. Now, this also comes with ability to freeze geometry. Freezing in our terms implies that within RapidAuthor, author is not able to select the object purely just for convenience. Of course, he or she can unfreeze the object in RapidAuthor, but you can do that right away upon import. So you may freeze majority of assemblies if they are not used for documentation purposes, for example. Now let's look how this can be done. We go to Rapid Configuration. A sample geometry loaded here. Now we go to the structure window, and what we see here on the left-hand side, for those of you who are not familiar with Rapid Configuration user interface and specifically with this interface, on the left-hand side we see original structure of the data, and on the right-hand side this is the result of applying all the rules that we set above. Now, what we're going to do is omit these two sub-assemblies, this one and the other one. But for start, we'll use just one. So we tick Ignore Items checkbox and specify condition here. We may pick either CAD file name or item name, or select from the metadata stored within the CAD file. So in this case, I will use, of course, part name, as this is the easiest. Now, I can find my value here, but I can input it directly in this input field. This is the one I'm looking for. So comparison mode is, of course, is equal to. And as you can see here, we can immediately check whether condition is satisfied or not. So in this case, it is. Let's see what is the result is. This is the result. And yeah, this one last item is not here anymore, since it is being ignored, like so. Now, in case you need to ignore multiple items, what you can do is apply a regular expression. Let's do this. Now we are going to use the same path number as in the previous attempt, and the other one is this one, 005 001, like so. And if we check it, it should also be satisfied. Yes, condition is satisfied. So let's see. So both should get excluded. Yes, they are. So if we save this import profile and perform import of that original geometry into RapidAuthor, we will only get this kind of result, which is quite handy in case you do not have access to your CAD system or for some reason cannot optimize your geometry from that end. Freezing works the same way, of course. Now, another handy feature is the ability to merge shapes and simplify using the same way. Now, what we mean by merge is when we have an abundance of several objects, we can simply merge them together as a single shape. Sometimes it is necessary to do that for performance reasons, or in case you do not need a lot of objects, specific objects of a specific assembly in your project for documentation purposes, you can simply merge them together, and this will reduce the number of objects and the clutter. Now let's see how we can do this. Now we will also use this sample geometry here. And this time we will use this shaft. So, of course, the shaft, if we expand the shaft here, we see that these are the children. What we can do, we can merge them all together as a single shape. So for that, we go to merge shapes, depending on names or metadata. And the same logic goes here. We simply either apply regular expression or type a value here. So EM 005 500, like so. Hit OK. Let's see what happens. The shape is merged. So we see here on the right-hand side that all of these shapes are now combined into single one, and of course the color is uniform, since in RapidAuthor architecture we only support a single color for a single shape, let's say, like so. So once again, this is handy to reduce level of detail in your item tree in case you don't need them. And this is not applicable to PLM XML, of course. That's a handy note. Now, the next performance-related thing that we'll mention here is the ability to set tessellation quality of vermal. Now, previously, we used some hard-coded values for tessellation, and these were high for rapid data converter and low for JT component, but now you have a full control over tessellation. Of course, if your prime objective is to reduce the project size, loading times, import time, you may want to set medium or even low. But if you are concerned about quality of your 3D objects or 2D illustrations, you may want either to leave it as high or even set it as super, but of course at the expense of performance and project size. Quite handy as well, this is available in the surface properties interface of Rapid Configuration. Now other performance-related points here. We can now delete initial representation. So initial representation will not be generated upon import, and this will save you some time, some import time, as well as project size. Of course, again, at the expense of quality. So there is a trade-off always. Now, you can also remove the root assembly from your project item tree. Now, if I just go back here to our sample data, you see here, and maybe some of you who are very used to work with RapidAuthor are familiar with this artifact, which you commonly see in your item tree, is the file name of the cut file that you originally imported, which could be JT or PLM XML. You always see it as a root structure. Now you can turn this off, like so, if you don't need it, and this would correspond to your source data structure. So it's purely for convenience and for matching your project structure and data structure. And finally, one of the quite handy features is that we can calculate the number of items and use metadata for identifying a unique number of unique items, and these quantities can then be mapped with metadata. For instance, this can be used in rapid walk instructions to use in the bill of material tab. As previously, you could only either fetch quantities from the CAD file itself or use some programming in the input profile directly. But now there is a handy item calculation feature which we can find over here at quantity, like so. And here we would typically select some kind of metadata which is used to identify identical values and then map it with our metadata. Okay, moving on. Now, Rapid Developer, of course, comes also with the Rapid Specification application. And for this, we have just one noteworthy feature, is that you can now create various regular expression restrictions, and these should reduce data entry errors and enhance user experience, let's say. And as I previously said, S1000D specifications that come out of the box, for them we created regular expressions. You will see them right now. And for your custom specifications, you can create them yourself. And let me show you that briefly. Now, this is Rapid Specification tool. Let's say we want for user only to be able to input alphanumerics and white space, no other special characters. So to do that, we insert something like that, A to Z uppercase, 0 to 9, space for white space, and we need to close this also, like this. Yep. Now there is a test button, and here we can test how a regular expression will work. So let's say I insert sample bolt. That's fine. Now if I attempt to insert exclamation mark, the line is being highlighted, meaning it doesn't match. So that's an error, and this value will not be passed in RapidAuthor. Now let's save this. And let's see how this works in Rapid Catalog in this specification that we just created. So creating a new project. We insert a new DPL entry. And in metadata, let's say in the description, I try to enter sample bolt 3 exclamation marks. enter, and this is the error that I'm getting. And quite conveniently, you see here what are the allowed characters and what is the actual regular expression that we use, like so. Now, the last functional area is the RapidAuthor connector for Teamcenter, and the corresponding version is 7.0. Now, we're exciting to continue our integration with Active Workspace. Previously, we only supported ability to edit already existing items and to preview them within Active Workspace. With this release, you can actually complete the full cycle. You can create items, you can link them with your bill of material, you can apply various revision rules, perform import updates, preview, and even download your project from Active Workspace. Now, for this, I have a very handy recording here. Let's briefly look how this is implemented. Now, in Active Workspace, there is no dedicated Cortona3D technical publication as in Rich Client, but we use standard user interface of Active Workspace for that. So in this case, at the starting point here, as you can see, I'm creating new Cortona3D item, typing a name, and here picking Cortona3D item type. In this release, you have no ability to create item types within Active Workspace, so you already have to set up them through Rich Client, but here you simply pick them up. And here we're creating item type. Now the next step, we would link our BOM with this item, and this can be done through via the content tab. So this is the equivalent of the publication view, structure manager in the past. And we create a child, as it's called here, new child, and link the item which comes with engineering data, which can come from clipboard, from favorites, from recent, a lot of ways to do this. Now you see here, we link both. Now, if needed, we can apply a variant and revision rules, just like in Rich Client. Now, the next thing we're going to do is obviously import. We need to perform import. In this release 7.0, we have this additional layer of authentication. Here we simply enter your regular RapidAuthor credentials. This, by the way, will be removed in the next release and replaced by a single sign-on technology. Now, once authentication is done, what we can do here, we see here regular window dialog from where we can perform import update, this sort of operations. Now, perform import for the first time. And this time we're launching it for editing. Quickly creating a sample publication here and exporting back to CMS. Nothing different from a Rich Client experience on this part. Now, what we can do here, we can once again click open in RapidAuthor, and as I said, all those regular commands that you are used to are available here. Now, you can also preview, of course, from Rich Client. This was already implemented in the previous release. So this can be either interactive 3D, interactive HTML5, or PDF. And finally, in the attachments tab, this is, of course, the default Active Workspace interface. So we can also find our datasets. So that's a project build, which contains the HTML5 with the view and all the resources, and we can also have a dataset with our import log for troubleshooting. And that's it. Now, of course, we continue integration. We continue to work on our integration. As I said, in the future release, we will include single sign-on technology, so there will be no need to log in into Active Workspace again, and some other features as well. Now, a couple of important notifications, let's say, starting from a next major version, which is 14.0, which will be released next summer 2021, we will discontinue use of plugin-based HTML publications, as we consider them inferior to the HTML5 technology, so they will be no longer be available. And the standard type of output will be HTML5 or non-plugin, as they are also called. Now, also with the next major release, our HTML5 publications will not be supported by Internet Explorer, or maybe other way around, as there are some limitations and restrictions which preclude us from using all the exciting features that you see in our interactive documents. So HTML5 is the way to go. Now, all of the features and many other features that I talked about today, especially in regards to Cortona3D Editor Pro and rapid configuration, and there are a couple of others, you will find them on our website under release notes. Now, we also recorded videos on major features and posted on our YouTube channel, which you will find in the What's New playlist. Now, all of the features that I talked about today and those that you will find in the release notes, of course, they are fully documented. Documentation comes in the form of PDFs available in the documentation folder, or you may use embedded help in RapidAuthor application. And this concludes our webinar. Thank you. And now it is an opportunity to ask questions if you have them, and thank you. Okay, let's see. Which Teamcenter versions are supported for integration 7.0? The standard, let's say certified version of Teamcenter is 12.3. and Active Workspace 4.3, but there are other versions that are supported as well. So you feel free to say which specific TC version you're talking about. Maybe we can say whether it is fully supported or we have at least tested it. Where we can have tutorials and readable SOP for application use. As I said, you can use documentation. You can also, of course, use knowledge base, which is available on our website under support section, and YouTube resources as well, our official channel. Are there any plans to merge function to support PLM XML? I see Sergey Bedorov is here on the line. Maybe he can answer this. James asks whether I can send this presentation to group members. Surely I can. We will forward this recording along with the slides that you've seen to all of the registered participants, of course. I hope we have no unanswered questions. In case we do, please ping me again. Let's give it a couple of minutes. DPL parameters validate against S1000 standard. Will it be possible to override this validation or disable in some cases, for example, exception? Yeah, of course. Let me demonstrate my screen again briefly. Now we go to rapid specification again. Now let's open specification 4.1. Let's say information code, for example. Attributes. This is the regular expression. You are free to modify it or even completely remove it. So the answer is yes. Interesting question. In Rapid Catalog, instead of image with callouts, can we have the image with callouts? In fact, we do have callouts in our object gallery. these are sort of 3D callouts, but they are not automatically generated. You need to position them manually. So unfortunately, maybe this is not the solution that you're looking for. So you can use object gallery callouts. Another solution is that you can combine raster image and vector image together. So you use raster background, and on top of that, vector illustration with automatically generated callouts. That's another solution for you. In case you're wondering how to do that, you can reach us via email, and we will forward you a video how to do that. In fact, we have a nice recording for that. Do we have any option to save and resume activity in job mode? If user wants to take a break in between sign-off, data will capture break hours as an operation way. Okay, a nice feature request, I suppose. Probably Michael Dermidontov will be in a good position to say whether this can be added in future releases. Michael, could you answer this, please?
Which question? Sorry, could you repeat?
Do we have any option to save and resume? We don't. If a user wants to take a break in between sign-off data, we capture break.
No, I already answered this. In the standard out-of-the-box rapid work instruction specification, you cannot stop and resume. As in the scope of customization, this can be done, but there should be some integration with the customer's portal to save this information on the portal, as well as the information during the sign-off, such as time for each operation and so on. So, and as well as the login information. It should be done in the scope of the integration with the portal.
Okay, I hope this answers your question. So yeah, customization is possibly a way forward on this. The next question, how do we retain document data created in revision 1 and 2 and update only the required changes rather than using synchronize button manually, which is time consuming? Okay, this is not really relevant to new features. If you could please put this question in writing again, and we will provide you a comprehensive answer. What are workable solutions on this? As it will take some time to answer in the scope of this webinar, so let's resort to email instead on this. A question from Gerard, will it be possible to view offline standalone HTML again in the future, not only with Edge as it is now? Well, of course, it will be possible, and it is possible now to view offline your HTML publication. You can create a single HTML bundle, and yeah, this works with most modern browsers, and will work as well in future releases. A question from Hunter Harrison, can you use the repeat move after manually repositioning a copy, not using dialog box to make the original move? Yes, of course you can use repeat move. In my demonstration, I used, as you've seen, that dialog in the property inspector. But if you manually drag your object from one place to another place, and then use that repeat move, that would repeat that again in the exact the same relative angle and distance, let's say. A comment from Stig, thanks, big improvement. Will it in the future be possible to align two items using the selected possible to align two items using selected point, endpoint, center point, intersections center to each other and maintain same orientation? Michael, could you comment on that? That's a question from Stig on alignment of items. Possibility for the future. Feature.
Maybe I do not completely understand the question, but it was possible in the previous version to align just the position and keep the orientation. And as for the new functionality of alignment of cylindrical objects, cylindrical surfaces, no, that works only simultaneously. The orientation and the position is aligned together. So that was not planned to align just the position of the cylindrical objects, but keep the orientation.
Okay, good. Okay, so if there are no further questions, once again, to those, if you still have questions or they're rather complex, feel free to forward them via email, support@cortona3d.com. We will send a recording of this webinar along with slides that you've seen to all of you. I suppose we can finish. I hope I haven't lost any questions. In case we haven't answered something, please, that was not intentional. Could you just send us them by email? Okay, I thank you all for participating. Hopefully that was quite useful for you, and hopefully you will enjoy using RapidAuthor. Thank you and goodbye.